What up, YouTube? For those of y'all who don't know me, my name is T. For those of y'all coming from my wife and I's channel, the China Tea Room, you know who I am. I'll give y'all a little background for those of y'all who don't know me. Like I said, my name is T. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Married with two wonderful, sometimes wonderful children. And this channel is going to be a little different for those of y'all who follow me on my wife's vlog channel. This channel is specifically mine. And what I'm going to be doing on this channel is chronicling, I can't get the word out, chronicling my transition. For those who are new to this channel, of course, I mean, if you're at this channel, then you probably, you know, are at it because you searched the FTM hashtag or found it on some other sort of social media or recommended it by somebody. But for those of you who are from the other channel, then you kind of know a little bit of history. So I am, like I said, I'm 30 years old. Up until about 8 months ago, I've always identified as a lesbian. I've always been masculine presenting, so depending on where you're from, stud, butch, AG, there's too many goddamn labels out there, but I've always been extremely masculine. So I've always, in my personal life, like within like those very close to me, like my mom, my siblings, I've always felt like I was a guy. Or even as a child, I, you know, want to be a little boy. So, you know, most people ask the question, well, how did you know, or when did you know? I've always known. You know, as a kid, I had a cousin who was very similar to my age, and I requested for us to be dressed like twins. And luckily, I was in a situation to where my mother is one of those mothers who allows you to be, you know, whoever you are. So I want to dress like a little boy, like, cool, that's what we did. I mean, there had to be some concessions made. Like, I went to, you know, Catholic school, and we had to change for gym and things like that. And my mom's like, listen, bro, like, you can't be in the locker room of Catholic school, change your clothes, and you got on that goddamn Lion King or Power Ranger briefs. Like, that's not, you know, so, you know, you can't do that. So, you know, in those situations, you know, we made some concessions, but, you know, it's something that I've always been. Then I kind of went through a phase as, you know, I got a little older, and puberty set in. My mom's like, all right, bro, you got to put on a shirt. Like, you can't be running around with your jumper with no shirt on, thinking you crisscross and shit. You got to put on a shirt, you know. And then I never really feminined it up, if that's even a word. You know, even as a teenager, even when I did date guys, I always dressed like, you know, jeans, sneakers, you know, t-shirts, but I did keep my nails done, and my hair was extremely long then. But, you know, even then I knew, you know, something wasn't right. I then, of course, as those of you who, you know, do know, and those of you who don't know, I did have a daughter that I gave birth to when I was a junior in college. Okay, we're back. Had a little technical difficulties. So, like I was saying, my junior year of college, I gave birth to my daughter, and when I gave birth to my daughter, that was kind of when I made the decision to exclusively date women. Before then, I dated women because, like I said, my mother and my mother's side of the family were very, you know, open and accepting, you know, of it. My mom has 7 children, and 3 of us, well, 2.5, are gay, lesbian, and my mom has always been like, hey, you know, love who you love, be who you are, you know, just as long as you don't hurt nobody, kids and animals, I don't care who you love, as long as you're happy and they make you happy and they treat you well. So, but my, you know, my father's family was kind of a different situation. Nothing necessarily negative, but more so they're very, very religious, and I was always terrified of what would, you know, happen, because my grandfather used to always joke and say, you need to get you a sugar daddy, like, since I was old enough to date. Like, that's what he was telling me, I need to get me a sugar daddy. But So I never really, came out to them or anything like that. And with my mother's side of family, I didn't have to come out as a lesbian. Like, when I decided to give guys a try, like, I had to come out as straight, I guess, at that point in time. Or technically it would have been bi, but, like, they were surprised. Like, you having a midlife crisis when I brought home my daughter's dad. So when I had my daughter, and it was like, at this point, there is no more pretending. Like, I don't want to be in a situation to where I'm not happy or I'm not being myself, and I'm bringing a baby into this world, because she's gonna carry those emotions. If I'm walking around like, I really want to be with this man and I really want to be with women, but I'm trying to get to try because it's the right thing to do, my daughter's gonna kind of grow up with that complex. So that's when I decided to exclusively date women. I still had the same, masculine urges and same feelings as far as what I am or what I felt on the inside, but everything I've always done has been for my daughter since she's come into the world. So it was kind of, I'm her mom, her biological father was not around, and I didn't want to take that from her. So I said, that's not something I'm gonna address. I'll kind of put it to the side, because I didn't have some of the same thoughts that a lot of people, in my situation or in the trans community, whatever label you have, androgynous, bi-gender, non-binary, whatever, you specify or, tell everybody you are, whatever you identify as is what I should say. Everybody has their own feelings, but I wasn't in a situation to where I woke up every day with, dysphoria to the point of depression, or, I didn't have that. I had extremely large chests, so I had a breast reduction very young. So even though I still had boobs, compared to what I had, I was okay. Like, I didn't like when I was walking around with, like, huge knockers, but, after my breast reduction, I was a little bit more okay with what I had. So that kind of helped. And, I was grateful for the fact that in my situation, I used certain things to come to terms with it. Like, if I would have not been born a biological woman, I would have never had my daughter. Never, ever, 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 ever. And my daughter's one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. So, I use certain things to kind of reason why things happen the way they happen. So I kind of had put it to the side, and relationships that I was in with women, it was more kind of like those masculine things, because anybody who knows me will tell you I've always been extremely masculine just naturally. But it was always like a dig or a jab here, and if I wanted to be with a nigga, and that whole spiel. So kind of put it to the side and was like, well, I can wear what I want to wear, dress how I want to dress, present masculine, and call it a day. As I got older, it got a little harder to deal with, and then I met my wife. And my wife is she's very open and understanding, and my wife is very supportive of people being who they are and living their own life. And so between the two of us, we have a lot of, transgender friends, FTM, M to F, all over the board, and my wife has always been very supportive, so it kind of made me a little more comfortable with her, with it, and expressing it to her. So I expressed, my desire to transition to my wife. And being completely honest, because that is something that I'm going to do here, being completely honest, I got two different responses from my wife. I got what I call the friend response, because my wife and I were friends before we got married, and we are still best friends. I got the friend response of, I'm here to support you 100%. Whatever you want to do what's best for you. I'll go to your appointments with you. What do we need to do? I got that response. And then I got the wife response, to where my wife is attracted to women, and my wife was like, I don't know how I'm going to feel having a husband. I don't know how I'm going to feel rolling over in one day and you got a beard, and I don't know how I'm gonna feel when your voice changes or your body starts to change. I don't know how I'm going to feel, which was an honest answer. So that kind of put me in a weird place of, well, damn, this is what I want to do to make me happy, but my family structure, having my wife and my children and the family we've built, also makes me happy? And do I want to transition and risk losing the family makeup that I'm used to? Not that my wife would ever take my children from me, but just being able to wake up in a household with my children and my wife every day. You know, being able to say that's my wife, you know, and us being together every day, not oh, well, we're not together, but we still co-parent. Like, that's a whole different, that's great. People can do that, but for me, that would be a big change. And so, you know, when it came to that, it kind of put me in a kind of delayed response. So I originally set my appointment to go talk to my doctor and endocrinologist November, December of 2000 and online, probably like September, October of 2017. Went to the doctors, did all my blood work, talked to the doctor, you know, my wife talked with them. Then I went to I've already had my therapy appointment, so did my first doctor's appointment. My doctor that I use here in Atlanta specializes in LGBT healthcare, so they are familiar with, you know, HRT, M to F or F to M. They are good for, like, if you're a same-sex couple and you want to have a baby. They deal with everybody. They're not just LGBT only, but they have a specialty in that, so it's a comfortable place. You never feel out of place. All of their paperwork is very same-sex friendly, you know, or even trans friendly, you know, LGBT friendly. Like, even just walking into the office and I'm reading the paperwork for the first time and I'm filling it out, and it's, you know, most forms is, you know, are you married? Okay, you have a husband, wife, whatever. Are you male, female, trans male, non-binary? Like, all of this, like, how do you identify on the paperwork, and your preferred name, things like that. Or like when they have the thing for spouse, like, it's not just, oh, do you have a wife, you have a husband, like, you know, things like that. Even it was so funny, my wife and I were laughing because when we came out, when you're doing the little checkout process, there's a big basket of condoms. They got condoms, Dental, female condoms, like all types of stuff that you're like, oh my God, like, I've never seen this. Not that you've never seen it, but seen it in the doctor's office and being this prevalent. I hate the doctors anyway, and they made me feel very comfortable. So, back on track. So I went to my first doctor's appointment in November or October or September, like last quarter of 2017. Then I went to my therapist appointment. Met with the therapist. My therapist was like, dude, there's nothing wrong with you. You're mentally sane. You can handle it. Give me my approval letter. And so then I kind of delayed it a little bit because there was some things I wanted to work out within my relationship and my family in regards to me transitioning before I just jumped on board and did it. So very shortly, today is June 7th. Today's June 7th, 2018. I actually made the appointment today to schedule my first shot. So I am going to take you guys on that journey with me. Like I said, I want to be as open and honest as possible. So if you have any questions, comments, you know, definitely feel free to leave them in the comments. Definitely feel free to send me a message. I'll leave all of my social media and email information. Anything you want me to discuss, any questions that you have, please feel free to reach out, whether it's for me, whether it's a question for my wife, whether you want to know something about how my kids are dealing with it, how my family's dealing with it, then, you know, definitely do that. I am going to do kind of a more Q&A session as far as, like, specific questions people have in regards to anything, you know, up to me, you know, starting hormone replacement therapy, because I haven't started that yet. But I'm an open book, and my goal is to let people have a space to answer those questions versus assuming, because there are a lot of people that make assumptions about transgender and transitioning and things like that because they don't know. The information is not out there, and I feel like even for somebody who was you know, researching, you know, how the transition is going to kind of go, and I know it's a little bit different for everybody, but just kind of getting like a time frame of how things are going to go, time frame of what's going to happen, you know, questions that I may have, feelings. A lot of people do share their journey and share a lot. There are people out there that share a lot of information, but I feel like it's still a subject that's not necessarily the emotional side and kind of what the families go through and the process leading up to it. You get a lot of people who are here's my transition, here's 1 month on T, 3 months on T, whatever it may be. And that's great. That's also informative. But just for what I was looking for, I didn't feel like I could find that. And I may not have ran across the right channel. So if you know anybody with a good channel, you know, definitely leave them in below. Anybody who has a good blog, you know, definitely leave them in below. I'm not an expert, you know, on this subject. Hold on, y'all. I'm not an expert on this subject, and I don't claim to be. I'm just sharing what I can from my point of view. But like I said, I am going to do a Q&A, so any questions you have, drop them in the comments below. You know, shoot me an email, DM, whatever it may be. And definitely just, you know, let me know what you want to know. And if it's something that I can speak to, I'll definitely speak to it. If it's something I can't speak to and I can point you in the right direction, you know, I'll definitely do that. So, you know, welcome to my channel. Just a couple more things about me, and then I'm going to stop because the video is long, but I'm in traffic, so I got time. A couple things about me that you may want to know before watching my channel. I curse a whole hell of a lot. So if you don't like cursing, or you know, somebody's mom watching this, you know, I apologize now. But I do curse a lot. I'm very blunt. I don't sugarcoat shit. And it's not to be mean or anything like that. It's just how I've always been. I say what I feel what I say, and my delivery sometimes can be horrible, so be prepared for that. The biggest thing is I don't care what nobody got to say. I've always been a person who feels like you gotta live your life for you, because at the end of the day, you gotta be happy. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do. So opinions, you know, I can take constructive criticism, but opinions, that should go one ear out the other. Like, that should slide off like I'm a slip and slide. But yeah, so that's it about me. I'll definitely, you know, be trying to post regularly, keep you guys updated. I will take you to doctor's appointments with me. I will sit down and do a couple of sit down videos with my wife, because I feel like even for us as a very strong couple, like, we're a very strong couple. We don't fight a lot. We don't argue a lot. We don't have a lot of underlying issues in our relationship. But this has brought the best and the worst out of both of us as far as, like, communication. Because usually we can communicate about a lot of shit, but this was something we had struggles communicating on. So I definitely want to show that side, you know, because everybody who knows my wife, you're going to see my wife is supportive as hell, but you got to see kind of, I don't want to say what goes on behind closed doors, but what led up to being able to be that supportive. Like, what emotions did she have to go through? What emotions did I have to go through? What do we have to put our kids through? You know, so all of that. But I hope you enjoy. I hope this channel, you know, gives you know, some answers, something to do, whatever you're looking for, you know, and stay tuned and we'll see how this goes.